Bella Clark's fingers trembled as she pressed herself against the narrow maintenance corridor wall, her breath coming in shallow, controlled bursts that she'd learned to master during 8 years in the Air Force. The cold metal bit through her crisp white uniform blouse. She shouldn't be here, tucked into the bowels of the private aviation terminal at 11:47 p.m., eavesdropping on a conversation that made her blood turn to ice water. Confirmed for the flight path over the Atlantic, Captain Morrison's voice drifted through the ventilation grate above her head. System failure at 35,000 feet. No survivors. Clean. Bella's heart slammed against her ribcage. She'd only ducked into this corridor to retrieve her phone, stupidly left behind after her pre-flight inspection of the Gulfstream G650 waiting on the tarmac. The $65 million jet gleamed under the hangar lights, beautiful and lethal, prepped for a midnight departure to London. One passenger. Alexander Costa. The name alone carried weight in circles Bella had learned to avoid. Newspapers called him a business magnate. Law enforcement called him untouchable. Everyone else called him exactly what he was, a mafia boss whose empire stretched from New York to Naples, built on fear, loyalty, and a reputation for swift, merciless justice. And someone wanted him dead. The fuel line modification. That was First Officer Daniels. Younger. Nervous. His voice cracked slightly. You're sure it can't be traced back to? Do I look like an amateur? Morrison snapped. The investigation will point to manufacturer defect. Happens all the time with these luxury models. Rich bastard cuts corners, jet goes down. Tragic accident. Bella's mind raced through her mental checklist of the pre-flight inspection she'd completed just 40 minutes ago. Every system had checked out perfectly. But she hadn't inspected the fuel lines. That wasn't her jurisdiction. That was the mechanic's job. Or the pilot's, if they wanted to sabotage their own aircraft. And the attendant? Daniels asked. Bella's breath caught. Collateral damage, Morrison said flatly. Bella Clark, former Air Force, exemplary record. She'll be remembered as a hero who died in the line of duty. Better than she deserves for the paycheck she's pulling on these private runs. The casual dismissal of her life, like she was nothing more than an inconvenient variable in their equation, sent fury burning through Bella's veins, momentarily overriding her fear. What about the payment? Daniels pressed. Already in escrow. $2 million each, wired to the Cayman accounts within 6 hours of confirmed crash. Our employer is very motivated to see Mr. Costa disappear. Our employer. So this went higher. Deeper. Bella's pulse thundered in her ears as footsteps echoed through the corridor. They were moving. Coming her way. She pressed herself flatter against the wall, barely breathing, watching through the grate as Morrison and Daniels emerged from the crew briefing room. Morrison was 50-something, silver-haired, with the kind of distinguished look that put passengers at ease. Daniels was barely 30, still hungry, still stupid enough to think murder was worth $2 million. They walked past her hiding spot, so close she could smell Morrison's expensive cologne. Wheels up in 8 minutes. Morrison checked his watch. Showtime. The moment they rounded the corner, Bella moved. Her training kicked in, assess, plan, execute. She had maybe 3 minutes before they expected her to board for final cabin prep. 3 minutes to decide whether to A. Run to airport security, who would demand evidence she didn't have, waste precious time on questions and protocol while the jet took off with Alexander Costa aboard, fuel lines rigged to fail over the Atlantic where rescue was impossible. B. Confront Morrison and Daniels directly, and likely get killed right here in the terminal, her body disposed of, another tragic accident before the main event. C. Do something so insane, so reckless, that her former Air Force commanders would have court-martialed her for even considering it. Warn the target. Warn Alexander Costa. The most dangerous man in New York. Bella's feet were already moving, carrying her through the service entrance, across the tarmac where the November wind cut through her uniform like frozen knives. The Gulfstream's stairs were down, cabin lights glowing warm and golden against the night. And there, at the base of the stairs, stood the man himself. Alexander Costa was taller than she'd expected, 6'3" of controlled power wrapped in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her annual salary. Dark hair touched with silver at the temples. Sharp jawline. Eyes the color of espresso, currently fixed on his phone screen with the kind of focus that suggested whatever he was reading could determine someone's fate. Two bodyguards flanked him, built like refrigerators, hands resting near concealed weapons. This was the moment. The point of absolute commitment. Bella walked straight toward them, her heels clicking against the tarmac, her face arranged in the pleasant, professional mask she'd perfected over thousands of flights. One of the bodyguards stepped forward, blocking her path. "I'm the flight attendant," she said calmly, showing her credentials. "Bella Clark. I need to speak with Mr. Costa before we board." "Mr. Costa doesn't take meetings on the tarmac," the bodyguard rumbled. "It's about his flight." Bella kept her voice steady, but she locked eyes with Alexander, willing him to see the urgency beneath her professional veneer. "It's critical that I speak with him. Right now." Alexander's gaze lifted from his phone, and the full force of his attention hit her like a physical thing. Sharp. Assessing. Missing nothing. 4-3 heartbeats, he studied her. Then he raised one hand, a slight gesture that made both bodyguards step back. "You have 60 seconds, Ms. Clark." His voice was deep, textured with the faint remnants of an Italian accent smoothed by American education. "Use them wisely." Bella stepped closer, lowering her voice to barely above a whisper. "Don't fly. It's better you leave now." His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes, a sharpening, a dangerous curiosity. "Elaborate." "The pilots. Morrison and Daniels. They've sabotaged the fuel lines. You're meant to crash over the Atlantic. Untraceable. Looks like mechanical failure." The words tumbled out in a rushed whisper. "I overheard them. 8 minutes ago. They're being paid $2 million each. You board that plane, you're dead." For a moment that stretched like eternity, Alexander simply looked at her. Then he glanced past her shoulder, toward the terminal, and Bella knew he'd spotted Morrison and Daniels emerging onto the tarmac, heading toward the aircraft. When Alexander's eyes returned to hers, they held a different quality, calculation mixed with something that might have been respect. "You're risking your life telling me this," he said quietly. "Why?" "Because I'm on that plane too," Bella said. "And I'm not ready to die for someone else's vendetta." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Honest. I appreciate honesty." He turned to his bodyguards. "Vincent. Take Ms. Clark to the car. Now." "Sir." Vincent looked confused. "The flight is cancelled," Alexander said, his tone brooking no argument. "And Ms. Clark is coming with us." "Wait," Bella started, but Alexander's hand closed around her upper arm, firm but not painful. "You just made yourself the only witness to a conspiracy against my life," he said, so quietly only she could hear. "Those pilots will know the moment I don't board. They'll know you talked. You think they'll let you walk away?" Horror washed through her as the reality crystallized. Morrison and Daniels couldn't afford loose ends. The moment Alexander cancelled this flight, Bella became a liability that needed to be eliminated. "Oh God," she breathed. "God has nothing to do with what comes next," Alexander said grimly. "But I protect what's mine. And as of this moment, Ms. Clark, you're under my protection. Whether you like it or not." He was already moving, his grip on her arm guiding her toward the black SUV idling 50 yards away, Vincent and the other bodyguard forming a protective triangle around them. Behind them, she heard Morrison's voice call out, "Mr. Costa? We're ready for departure, sir." Alexander didn't break stride, didn't look back. "Tell the captain the flight is cancelled," he called over his shoulder. "Mechanical concerns." Bella risked a glance backward. Morrison stood at the base of the stairs, his distinguished face perfectly composed. But his eyes locked onto Bella with such cold, murderous intent that she stumbled. Alexander's grip tightened, keeping her upright, keeping her moving. "Don't look at them," he commanded softly. "Look at me. Only me." Bella's training screamed at her. This was wrong, all of it. She should run to security, to the police, to anyone but the Mafia boss whose world she was stepping into like quicksand. But Morrison's eyes burned in her memory. He knew. He knew she'd warned Alexander. And he would come for her. They reached the SUV. Vincent opened the door, and Alexander guided her inside with a hand on her head, protective and possessive at once. He slid in beside her, the door closing with a heavy, final thunk. "Drive," Alexander ordered. "The safe house. Protocol 7." The SUV surged forward. Through the tinted windows, Bella watched the private terminal recede into the night, watched Morrison and Daniel standing on the tarmac, their multimillion-dollar plan disintegrating, their own lives likely forfeit to whoever had paid for Alexander's assassination. And she'd just tied her fate to the man they'd tried to kill. "I need you to tell me everything," Alexander said, pulling out his phone. "Every word you heard. Every detail. Nothing is too small." Bella turned to face him, this stranger, this criminal, this man who now held her life in his hands. His expression was deadly serious, but beneath it, she saw something unexpected. Focus. Discipline. Control. Not the monster she'd expected. But perhaps something more dangerous. A man who protected his own with absolute ruthlessness. "Who are you, really?" she whispered. Alexander's dark eyes held hers. "Right now? I'm the only thing standing between you and a bullet, Ms. Clark. So start talking." The safe house was a penthouse in Tribeca, all floor-to-ceiling windows with bulletproof glass and security cameras covering every angle. Bella stood in the living room, still wearing her flight attendant uniform, feeling like she'd stepped through a portal into someone else's life. Alexander's world was all dark leather, expensive art, and the kind of silence that came from walls thick enough to muffle screams. "Sit," he said, gesturing to the sofa. Bella remained standing. "I need to call my sister." Alexander's eyebrow raised slightly. "Sister?" "Emma. She's 17. Home alone." Bella's voice cracked despite her efforts to control it. "If Morrison thinks I'm a liability, he'll look into my family. He'll find her." The fear that had been building since the SUV pulled away from the terminal finally broke through her military composure. Emma, with her college applications spread across the kitchen table, her dreams of studying marine biology, her terrible taste in boyfriends and her habit of leaving the door unlocked because she always forgot her keys. Emma, who'd already lost both parents in a car accident 3 years ago. Emma, who only had Bella. Alexander's expression softened imperceptibly. He pulled out his phone, tapped twice, and held it to his ear. "Vincent. I need a pickup and protection detail. Residential address, priority 1. He looked at Bella. "Address." Bella rattled off their apartment in Queens, her heart hammering. 17-year-old female, Emma Clark. "Bring her here. Unharmed, unafraid. Tell her it's her sister's request." He paused. "No, use Sophia for the pickup. Less intimidating." He ended the call. "Your sister will be here within the hour. Safe." The relief nearly buckled Bella's knees. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet." Alexander moved to the bar, poured 2 glasses of amber liquid. "You saved my life tonight. That creates a debt. But it also makes you valuable to my enemies. Every person who wanted me dead, and Ms. Clark, there are many, now wants you silenced." He handed her a glass. Scotch, she realized. Expensive, judging by the smell. "I don't drink on duty," Bella said automatically. "You're not on duty anymore." Alexander settled into the chair across from her, studying her with those unsettlingly intelligent eyes. "Tell me about yourself." "Air Force, you said?" Bella took a small sip. The scotch burned perfectly. 8 years. Combat rescue. I pulled pilots out of crashed helicopters in places the military won't admit we operated. 3 tours. And now you work private aviation. It wasn't quite a question. Emma needed stability. A guardian who was actually present, not deployed 8 months a year. Bella met his gaze steadily. Private flights pay 4 times commercial. Better hours. I could afford an apartment near her school, be home for dinner. Normal life. Normal, Alexander repeated, something almost wistful in his tone. That must be pleasant. What about you? Bella asked, surprising herself with her boldness. Who did you piss off badly enough to warrant a rigged private jet? Alexander's lips quirked. Direct. I like that. He stood, walked to the windows overlooking the glittering Manhattan skyline. In profile, he looked younger than she'd initially thought, maybe 40, though the weight he carried seemed decades older. My family has controlled shipping and trade along the eastern seaboard for 3 generations, he said. Legitimate businesses, mostly. Imports, exports, logistics. But power attracts complications. Rivals who want what we've built. Prosecutors who want headlines. Ambitious underbosses who think they can do better. So you have a lot of enemies. I have a lot of people who mistake opportunity for capability. He turned back to her. The question is which one decided tonight was their moment. The door opened. A woman entered, late 50s, steel grey hair in an elegant twist, wearing a cardigan over slacks despite the late hour. She carried herself with the authority of someone who'd seen everything and judged most of it wanting. Alexander, she said, her accent thick Italian. Vincent called. What's happened? Attempted hit, Lucia. Sabotaged aircraft. Ms. Clark overheard the plot and warned me. Alexander gestured toward Bella. Bella Clark, this is Lucia Corleone. She runs my household and most of my life. Lucia's sharp eyes assessed Bella in one sweeping glance. Air Force. How did you? Posture. Stance. You stand like someone trained to fight. Lucia's expression warmed slightly. My late husband was Marines. I recognize the bearing. She turned to Alexander. The girl is staying. She and her sister. Indefinite protective custody. I'll prepare the guest rooms. Lucia moved toward Bella, surprising her by taking both her hands. You saved his life. That makes you family here. Capis. The genuine warmth in those weathered hands made Bella's throat tight. Thank you. After Lucia left, Alexander returned to his chair, rolling the scotch glass between his palms. I need to know what I'm working with, he said. Can you handle yourself in a fight? Yes. Firearms. Expert marksman. Rifles, handguns, some specialty weapons. Combat experience. 3 years active combat rescue. I've been shot at more times than I've counted. Pull triggers when necessary. Bella held his gaze. I'm not helpless, Mr. Costa. Alexander, he corrected. And I can see that. But there's a difference between combat and what my world requires. Rules of engagement don't apply. Geneva Convention means nothing. The people who want me dead will use your sister, your friends, every person you've ever cared about as weapons against you. Then I'll make sure they can't, Bella said quietly. Something shifted in Alexander's expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition. You're afraid, he observed. But not of me. Should I be? Most people are. Most people didn't spend 3 years pulling broken soldiers from burning metal while people shot at them, Bella countered. Fear is useful. Terror is paralyzing. I learned the difference. Alexander smiled then, a real smile that transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. You're going to be interesting, Bella Clark. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and his expression went glacial. What? Bella asked. Morrison and Daniels. Alexander turned the phone to show her a news alert. Their bodies were just found in a rental car near JFK. Murder-suicide, according to initial reports. Morrison shot Daniels, then himself. Bella's blood went cold. That's not. No, Alexander agreed. That's cleanup. Whoever hired them just eliminated the loose ends. His dark eyes locked onto hers. Which means you're the last person alive who can connect tonight's conspiracy to its source. The weight of that truth settled over Bella like a shroud. So what happens now? She whispered. Alexander stood, moving closer, his presence commanding but not threatening. Now? We find out who wants me dead. We dismantle their operation. And we make sure they understand what happens when they threaten what's mine. He extended his hand. But I need to know you're in this, Bella. All the way. Because halfway gets you killed. Bella looked at his offered hand, strong, scarred across the knuckles, belonging to a man who'd built an empire on violence and loyalty. She thought of Emma. Of Morrison's cold eyes. Of the life she'd carefully constructed, crumbling the moment she'd chosen to speak instead of staying silent. There was no going back. Only forward, into whatever came next. Bella placed her hand in his. All the way, she said. Alexander's grip was firm, warm, sealing a bargain that would change everything. Then welcome to my world, Bella Clark, he said softly. Try not to die. Emma burst through the penthouse door 45 minutes later, her blonde hair wild, backpack slung over one shoulder, eyes wide with confusion and fear. Bella. She rushed forward, and Bella caught her in a fierce hug. I'm okay, I'm okay. The woman, Sophia, she said you were in danger. That men were coming to our apartment. Emma pulled back, searching Bella's face. What the hell is going on? Before Bella could answer, Emma's gaze landed on Alexander, standing near the windows. Her expression shifted from fear to recognition to absolute horror. Oh my God. That's Alexander Costa. Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. Bella, what did you do? I saved his life, Bella said simply. And now people want to kill me for it. Emma's face went pale. This is insane. We need to go to the police. The police can't protect you from what's coming, Alexander said, his tone gentle but firm. But I can. Both of you. If you'll trust me. Emma looked between them, 17 years old and terrified but trying desperately to be brave. Do we have a choice? No, Bella admitted. We really don't. The moment hung heavy, and then Vincent appeared in the doorway, his expression grim. Boss. We have a problem. Alexander's jaw tightened. Show me. Vincent pulled out a tablet, tapped the screen, and turned it toward them. Security footage showed a black sedan pulling up outside the Queen's apartment building. 3 men emerged, faces obscured, moving with military precision toward the entrance. The timestamp read 18 minutes ago. They hit the apartment 7 minutes after we extracted the girl, Vincent said. Professional team. They swept the place, took the laptop, any personal devices they could find. Looking for evidence of what Bella knew, Alexander said quietly. Or trying to find where she'd run. Bella's stomach twisted. If Emma had been there. They're still in the area, Vincent continued. Expanding search radius. It's only a matter of time before they check traffic cameras, trace our route. Then we move, Alexander decided. Lucia, take Emma to the secondary location. North Estate. Full security detail. Wait, Emma grabbed Bella's hand. You're not coming. Bella looked at Alexander, saw the calculation in his eyes, and understood immediately. I'm the target, she said. If we stay together, we lead them right to you. No. Emma's grip tightened. I'm not leaving you. Emma, listen to me. Bella cupped her sister's face. I've survived worse than this. But I can't do what needs to be done if I'm worried about you. Please. Trust me. Tears streamed down Emma's cheeks, but she nodded. Lucia stepped forward, wrapping a maternal arm around Emma's shoulders. Come, pick cola. I'll make you hot chocolate and show you the library. Your sister will be fine. Alexander doesn't lose what he protects. As Lucia guided Emma toward the door, the teenager looked back one last time. You better come back, Bella. You're the only family I have left. I promise, Bella whispered, praying it wasn't a lie. The door closed. The silence felt suffocating. Alexander moved to the bar, poured another scotch, and downed it in one swallow, the first crack in his controlled facade Bella had witnessed. You're afraid, she observed, echoing his earlier words. I'm realistic. He set the glass down with careful precision. 6 hours ago, I didn't know you existed. Now you're in my home, under my protection, and multiple assassination teams are actively hunting you. That's not fear. That's acknowledging the catastrophic complexity of our situation. Catastrophic complexity, Bella repeated. That what you call all your Tuesday nights? Despite everything, Alexander's lips quirked. Usually they're less eventful. Vincent cleared his throat. Boss, there's more. We identified the team that hit the apartment. They're connected to the Morchetti family. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Explain, Alexander said, his voice deadly quiet. Carlo Morchetti's crew. The same outfit that's been pushing into our territory in Brooklyn. This wasn't just about killing you, it was about taking your empire. Alexander's hands curled into fists. Carlo thinks he can make a move on the Costa family. With you dead and no clear successor, he could absorb most of your operations within a month, Vincent said. Clean takeover. The commission would probably approve it to avoid a war. Bella's mind raced, piecing together the implications. So the plane crash was supposed to look accidental. You die. Carlo steps in as the natural successor to prevent chaos, and no one questions it. Both men looked at her. Smart, Alexander said. But Carlo made a critical mistake. What's that? His dark eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that sent heat racing through her veins. He failed. And now has given me a witness who can expose the whole conspiracy. He stepped closer. You're not just under my protection anymore, Bella. You're my weapon against the people who want to destroy everything I've built. The proximity was overwhelming. He smelled like expensive cologne and danger, and despite every rational thought screaming warnings, Bella felt drawn to him like gravity. I'm not anyone's weapon, she said, holding her ground even as her pulse hammered. No, Alexander agreed, his voice dropping lower. You're a combat-trained expert marksman with intimate knowledge of a conspiracy against my life and zero loyalty to the criminal underworld. You're something far more valuable than a weapon. What's that? An ally I can actually trust. The words hung between them, weighted with meaning beyond their surface. In Alexander's world, trust was currency more precious than gold. Vincent's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and cursed. We've got movement. 3 cars just entered the building's surveillance perimeter. They know we're here. Alexander's expression went cold and focused. How long? 5 minutes. Maybe less. Time to move, Alexander said, already heading for the door. Vincent, Protocol 9. Bella, with me. Where are we going? Bella asked, following him down a hallway she hadn't noticed before. Somewhere Carlo Marchetti can't follow. He pressed his palm to a hidden scanner. A section of the wall slid open, revealing an elevator. Somewhere I can teach you the rules of my world before those rules get you killed. They stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. In the confined space, Bella was hyper-aware of Alexander beside her, the controlled power in his stance, the way his jaw tensed when he was thinking, the warmth radiating from his body. I need to know something, she said quietly. Everything Vincent said about taking over territories, absorbing operations, are you what they say you are? A criminal? Alexander turned to face her fully. In the elevator's dim lighting, his features were all shadows and edges. Yes, he said simply. I've killed people who threaten my family. I've broken laws that I found unjust. I've built an empire on the bones of my enemies. He paused. Does that terrify you? Bella thought of Morrison's cold eyes. Of the professional killers hunting Emma. Of the plane that would have crashed over the Atlantic with her body inside. No, she said honestly. Right now, it's the most comforting thing I've heard all night. Something flickered in Alexander's expression. Surprise, maybe, or the beginning of something more dangerous. The elevator descended into darkness. Then hold on, Bella Clark, he said softly. Because the real fight is just beginning. The elevator opened into an underground garage where a sleek black Mercedes waited, engine already running. Alexander guided Bella into the passenger seat, then slid behind the wheel himself. No driver, no bodyguards. Just the two of them. Where's Vincent? Bella asked as they peeled out into a tunnel she hadn't known existed. Leading Carlo's men on a chase through Manhattan. Decoy convoy. Alexander navigated the narrow passage with practiced ease. They'll think you're in one of those vehicles. Buys us time. Time for what? To figure out who else is involved in this conspiracy. He glanced at her. Morrison and Daniels were tools. Carlo Marchetti might have ordered the hit, but someone gave him the access, the intel, the timing. Someone close to my operation. The implication settled like ice in Bella's stomach. You have a traitor. I have several, most likely. Alexander's jaw tightened. My world runs on loyalty, but loyalty can be bought. The question is who and for how much. They emerged from the tunnel onto a rain-slicked street in an industrial area of Brooklyn. Warehouses loomed like sleeping giants in the darkness. Alexander pulled into a nondescript building, the garage door closing behind them with mechanical finality. Inside was something Bella hadn't expected, a fully equipped tactical operations center. Computer stations, weapons racks, maps covering entire walls with pins and photographs connected by red string. Welcome to the war room, Alexander said, stepping out of the car. This is where I handle problems that can't be solved with lawyers and ledgers. Bella followed him, her trained eye cataloging the setup. This is military-grade equipment. I employ military-grade people. He moved to one of the computer stations, typing rapidly. Former special forces, intelligence operatives, people who got tired of fighting for governments that didn't appreciate them. People like me, Bella said quietly. Alexander looked up, his dark eyes intense. You're different. How? You didn't choose this world. It chose you. That makes you dangerous in ways career criminals can't understand. He pulled up surveillance footage on multiple screens. You still think like a soldier. Honor, duty, protecting the innocent. Carlo and his people think like predators. All appetite, no conscience. One screen showed Emma arriving at a sprawling estate, Lucia guiding her inside. Bella's chest loosened slightly seeing her sister safe. She'll be okay, Alexander said, reading her expression. That property has security that rivals military installations. Carlo would need an army to breach it. Does he have an army? He has ambition and desperation. Dangerous combination. Alexander pulled up another screen showing a heavy-set man in his 50s, silver hair, expensive suit. Carlo Morchetti. Third-generation mob family, but he's never had the discipline for real power. He controls garbage collection, some union contracts, low-level extortion. Nothing compared to the Costa Empire. So why come after you now? Because I'm planning to expand into legitimate business exclusively. Shipping, logistics, international trade, all legal. The old families see that as weakness. They think I've gone soft. His expression hardened. They're about to learn otherwise. Bella moved closer to study the surveillance images. If Carlo wants your empire, he'll need support from other families. Who are his allies? Alexander's eyebrow raised. Strategic thinking. Good. He pulled up more photographs. The Russos in New Jersey, possibly. The Calabrese crew in Boston. But this kind of move requires commission approval, which means someone on the commission wants you gone, Bella finished. Exactly. Their eyes met, and Bella felt the crackle of intellectual connection laid over the physical attraction she'd been trying to ignore. Alexander wasn't just dangerous, he was brilliant, calculating, 3 steps ahead of everyone around him. And right now, he was looking at her like she was the most fascinating puzzle he'd ever encountered. You should get some rest, he said, his voice slightly rougher. It's nearly 3 a.m. I'm not tired. It was a lie. Adrenaline was the only thing keeping her upright. Bella. He stepped closer, and she caught that scent again, cologne and danger and something uniquely him. I need you sharp for what comes next. That means sleep, food, and proper preparation. You're no good to me exhausted. Is that all I am? The words escaped before she could stop them. Someone useful to you. Alexander's expression shifted, surprise, then something darker, more complicated. No, he said quietly. You're the woman who risked everything to save a stranger's life. You're the sister who gave up a military career to raise a teenage girl. He stopped himself, jaw tightening. You're someone I can't afford to lose. The admission hung between them, weighted with meaning neither of them was ready to examine. Bella's phone, confiscated earlier but now returned, buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We know you're with Costa. Give him up and your sister lives. You have 24 hours. Her blood turned to ice. Alexander. He was already reading over her shoulder, his expression going deadly. Vincent, he barked into his phone. Status on the North Estate? Good. Increase the perimeter guard. Nobody in or out without my personal authorization. He ended the call and turned to Bella. It's a bluff. They can't touch Emma. You don't know that. Yes, I do. His hands gripped her shoulders, forcing her to meet his eyes. Because Carlo doesn't have the resources to breach that security, and he knows it. This is psychological warfare. Make you panic, make you irrational, make you compromise your position. My position? Bella's voice cracked. My sister's life is threatened and you talking about positions. Yes. Alexander's control finally fractured, intensity blazing through. Because if you fall apart, Emma dies anyway. If you run to the police, they'll kill you both before you reach a station. If you try to negotiate, they'll take whatever you offer and murder you for the insult. He softened slightly. The only way Emma survives is if you trust me. Completely. Bella wanted to argue, to rage, to do something other than stand there feeling helpless. But her training cut through the fear. He was right. Okay, she whispered. What do we do? Alexander's thumb brushed her cheek, a gesture so gentle it shocked her. We make Carlo regret he ever heard the name Bella Clark. He stepped back, professional mask sliding into place. But first, you need to learn how to survive my world. Starting now. He led her to the weapons rack, selected a Glock 19, and handed it to her. Show me what you can do. Bella checked the weapon with practiced efficiency, magazine, chamber, sight alignment. Muscle memory from 1,000 training drills. There. Alexander pointed to a shooting range at the far end of the warehouse. Center mass, moving targets. Bella stepped up to the line. Targets began moving, silhouettes emerging from shadows at irregular intervals. She fired. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every shot found its mark. Center mass, perfect groupings. When she lowered the weapon, Alexander was smiling, a real smile, impressed and something else. Something heated. Adequate, he said, but his eyes told a different story. Just adequate. Bella challenged, surprising herself. I don't give compliments easily, Bella. But you. He moved closer, invading her space in a way that made her pulse race. You're exceptional. And that's going to keep you alive. The air between them charged with electricity. Bella knew she should step back, create distance, maintain professionalism. Instead, she held her ground. What happens after we stop Carlo? She asked softly. After. Alexander's expression turned thoughtful. I haven't thought that far ahead. I'm usually too busy surviving the present. That's a lonely way to live. It's the only way I know. Something in his voice, a note of isolation, of walls built so high even he couldn't see over them, made Bella's heart ache. Before she could respond, the building's security alarm blared. Alexander's entire demeanor transformed, lethal focus replacing intimacy. They found us. How? An explosion rocked the building's east wall. Move. Alexander grabbed Bella's hand, pulling her toward a reinforced door as gunfire erupted above them. Carlo's men weren't waiting 24 hours. They were attacking now. Bullets tore through the walls as Alexander shoved Bella into a reinforced corridor. The concrete vibrated with each explosion, dust raining from the ceiling. This way. He pulled her through a maze of passages, his hand never leaving hers. They emerged into a secure room, steel reinforced, multiple monitors showing the warehouse under assault. 8 men in tactical gear, coordinated and professional, clearing the building room by room. That's not Carlo's crew, Bella said, analyzing their movement patterns. That's military. Special operations level. Alexander was already on his phone. Vincent, we're compromised at the Brooklyn location. How did they? He stopped, listening, his face going pale. Say that again. He put the phone on speaker. Vincent's voice crackled through. Boss, the leak came from inside. Your secure phone, it's been transmitting your location for the past 6 hours. Someone cloned your signal. Who has access to that technology? Bella demanded. Someone with resources beyond Carlo Morchetti, Alexander said grimly. He pulled up security footage on one of the monitors, rewinding to an hour earlier. The screen showed a figure entering the warehouse before they'd arrived, planting something near the communications array. Alexander zoomed in on the person's face. Bella's breath caught. It was Vincent. No, Alexander whispered. Not him. The phone, still connected, went silent for 3 heartbeats. Then Vincent's voice returned, colder now. I'm sorry, Alexander. Truly. But the old ways are dying, and you're too stubborn to see it. Carlo promised me a position in the new order. Real power, not just following orders. Alexander's hand trembled, the first time Bella had seen him lose control. I trusted you. For 15 years, Vincent. I trusted you with everything. And I served loyally. Until you decided to go legitimate. Until you forgot what we are. Vincent's voice hardened. You've gone soft, boss. This thing with the girl proves it. The Alexander Costa I knew would never risk everything for some random flight attendant. Alexander's eyes met Bella's, something raw and painful in them. Where's Emma? Bella demanded, ice flooding her veins. Vincent laughed. The North Estate? Please. I designed that security system. Disabling it was easy. My people are collecting the girl right now. You son of a... 72 hours, Vincent interrupted. That's how long until Carlo Mocchetti is recognized as the new head of the Costa Empire. And you'll both be dead long before then. Nothing personal, Bella. Wrong place, wrong time. The line went dead. Bella's world tilted. Emma. They had Emma. Alexander was already moving, typing frantically on the computer. Lucia's with her. Lucia won't let. He pulled up the estate security feed. The screens showed static. No. Alexander slammed his fist on the desk, the controlled mask finally shattering. Not Lucia. Not Emma. Not because of. An explosion rocked the safe room door. The tactical team was breaching. Alexander. Bella grabbed his face, forcing him to focus. We survive the next 5 minutes, then we get Emma back. You understand? We don't have time to fall apart. Her combat training kicked in, steadying her even as terror screamed through her veins. She'd survived worse odds. She'd pulled soldiers from burning helicopters while insurgents fired on her position. She could survive this. She had to. Alexander's eyes cleared, the warrior returning. There's a tunnel. Emergency exit. Leads to the river. Then we move. Now. He grabbed a duffel bag from a hidden compartment, weapons, cash, documents, and they ran. Behind them, the safe room door exploded inward. The tunnel was narrow, claustrophobic, water dripping from ancient brick. Their footsteps echoed as shouts erupted behind them. They're in pursuit, Bella said. They won't make it far. Alexander pulled a remote from his pocket and pressed a button. The tunnel behind them collapsed in a roar of concrete and rebar, sealing their pursuers on the other side. They emerged at a dock where a small boat waited, covered and hidden. Alexander yanked the top off and they climbed aboard. The engine roared to life. As they cut across the East River, Manhattan's lights glittering like false promises, the warehouse exploded behind them, a fireball that lit up the night sky. Everything, Alexander said quietly. That was my entire tactical operation. 15 years of intel, weapons, resources. Gone. Bella looked at him, truly looked at him. The powerful Mafia boss was gone. In his place was a man who'd just lost his most trusted lieutenant, his base of operations, and possibly the people he cared about. A man as alone as she felt. We'll get her back, Bella said fiercely. Emma and Lucia both. Whatever it takes. You don't understand what you're promising. Alexander's voice was raw. Vincent knows everything. Every safe house, every contact, every contingency plan I have. He's dismantled my entire empire from the inside while I was too blind to see it. Then we don't use your empire. Bella's mind raced, tactics forming. We use mine. Alexander looked at her sharply. You don't have. I have 8 years of military contacts. Combat veterans who owe me favors. People Vincent doesn't know exist because they are not part of your world. She pulled out her phone. You're not the only one who knows how to fight, Alexander. Something shifted in his expression, hope, maybe, or the beginning of trust on a deeper level. Why are you doing this? He asked quietly. You could run. Disappear. Let me deal with this mess alone. Because Emma's my family. And because, Bella stopped, the truth hovering on her lips. Because what? The boat rocked gently. Water lapped against the hull. In the distance, sirens wailed toward the burning warehouse. Because somewhere in the last 6 hours, I started to care whether you live or die, Bella admitted. And that terrifies me more than Carlo or Vincent or any of this. Alexander moved closer, his hand coming up to cup her face with devastating gentleness. I've built my entire life on control, he said. On never letting anyone close enough to become a weakness. And then you walked onto that tarmac and destroyed every rule I've lived by. Alexander. I can't promise you safety. I can't promise you tomorrow. But I can promise that I will burn down everyone who threatens you or your sister. His thumb brushed her lower lip. Even if it costs me everything. The kiss, when it came, was inevitable as gravity. Fierce and desperate and tender all at once. Bella's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, needing the connection more than her next breath. Alexander's arms wrapped around her like he could shield her from the world through will alone. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, the city burned behind them and enemies closed in from all sides. But for one perfect moment, they weren't alone anymore. We get Emma back, Bella said, steel in her voice. We destroy Vincent and Carlo. And then we figure out what the hell this is between us. Alexander smiled, fierce and dangerous and completely genuine. Deal. He pulled out a burner phone and made a call. This is Alexander Costa. I'm calling in every favor I'm owed. Everyone who's ever sworn loyalty to my family. We go to war at dawn. Bella made her own calls. Rodriguez? It's Bella Clark. Remember Kandahar? Yeah, I need that favor. Big one. How fast can you assemble a team? By the time the boat reached the opposite shore, they had an army. And Vincent had no idea what was coming. The safe house in Queens was supposed to be off-grid, a place Vincent had never known about, secured by Bella's former commanding officer, Rodriguez. But when they arrived at dawn with Rodriguez's team of 6 ex-military operatives, Alexander's phone rang. An unknown number. He answered on speaker. Hello, Alexander. Vincent's voice was smooth, almost friendly. Enjoying your little boat ride? Alexander's jaw clenched. Where's Emma? Safe. For now. The girl's actually quite brave. Reminds me of her sister. A pause. Lucia, on the other hand, put up quite a fight. Shame about her arm. The doctors say she'll live, though. Bella's hands curled into fists. If you've hurt her. Bella. The woman who started all this. You know, if you'd just kept your mouth shut and died on that plane like you were supposed to, none of this would be happening. Emma would be safe. Lucia would be fine. Alexander would be dead, and everyone could move on. What do you want? Alexander demanded. Surrender. You, specifically. Walk into Carlo Marchetti's estate, unarmed, before noon today. Do that, and I'll release Emma and Lucia unharmed. And Bella? Vincent laughed. Bella's value expired the moment Morrison and Daniels died. But I'll make it quick. Professional courtesy for a fellow soldier. The line went dead. Bella's entire body shook with rage. It's a trap. Of course it's a trap. Alexander moved to the window, staring out at the grey morning. But he has Emma. He has Lucia. Which means I don't have a choice. There's always a choice, Rodriguez interjected. The grizzled veteran, 50 years old, built like a tank, stepped forward. We go in tactical. Extract the hostages. Eliminate the threats. Carlo's estate is a fortress, Alexander said. 20-foot walls, armed guards, surveillance everywhere. Vincent designed the security upgrades himself 3 years ago. He knows every weakness we might exploit. Then we create new weaknesses, Bella said, her tactical mind working. Rodriguez, you have explosive entry experience. 2 tours in Fallujah. I've breached worse than some mobster's mansion. Alexander shook his head. The moment they detect an assault, Vincent kills the hostages. That's protocol, eliminate leverage before it can be used against you. I taught him that myself. The bitter irony hung in the air. So what's your plan? Bella demanded. Walk in there and die. If it saves Emma. No. Bella grabbed his arm. You don't get to martyr yourself. Not for my sister. Not for anyone. She's 17 years old, Bella. An innocent girl caught in my world because you saved my life. Alexander's control finally broke completely. Every person suffering right now is suffering because of me. My empire, my enemies, my failures. I couldn't see Vincent's betrayal. I couldn't protect Lucia. I can't protect you. The raw anguish in his voice stopped her cold. This is what I am, Alexander continued, voice dropping to a whisper. Everyone close to me ends up dead or destroyed. My father, murdered by rivals. My brother, killed in crossfire meant for me. My wife, he stopped, the words choking off. Bella's breath caught. You were married. Isabella. 12 years ago. His eyes were distant, haunted. She wanted me to leave the family business, go legitimate. I promised her I would. But I was young, proud, stupid. Thought I could balance both worlds. His hands trembled. They sent her head to me in a box with a note. This is what happens to Costa women. The horror of it crashed over Bella. Alexander. So you see why I can't let the same thing happen to Emma. Or to you. He turned to face her, and she saw the truth in his eyes. I'm falling in love with you, Bella. And that's a death sentence. Everyone I love dies. Before Bella could respond, Rodriguez's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and went pale. Boss, you need to see this. He turned his laptop toward them. A live video feed showed Emma in a concrete room, zip-tied to a chair, terrified but unharmed. Lucia was beside her, left arm in a makeshift sling, blood staining her cardigan. And standing behind them was Vincent, holding a gun. Since Alexander isn't answering his phone, I'll make this simple, Vincent said to the camera. You have 3 hours. After that, I start sending pieces. The girl first, then Lucia. Your choice, boss. The feed cut to black. Bella's world narrowed to a single point of white-hot fury. I'm going in. Absolutely not, Alexander said. He wants you. Fine. He gets me instead. Former Air Force, witness to the original conspiracy, I'm valuable enough to trade. And then he kills you and still demands I surrender. Not if I kill him first. Bella's voice was ice. I've infiltrated enemy compounds before, Alexander. I know how to move, how to strike, how to survive. This isn't a war zone. Yes, it is. Bella shouted. This is exactly what war looks like when it comes home. And I'm done playing defense. Alexander grabbed her shoulders. I can't lose you. Don't you understand? I've already lost everyone I've ever cared about. I can't, I won't. She kissed him, fierce and desperate, pouring everything she couldn't say into that contact. When they broke apart, tears streamed down her face. Emma is all I have left in this world, Bella whispered. My parents are gone. My military career is gone. Everything I built is ash. But Emma, she's my reason for breathing. And I will walk into hell itself to bring her home. Then I'm going with you, Alexander said. No. You're the endgame. We save you for last. She turned to Rodriguez. I need full tactical gear, weapons, and a way inside that compound. Rodriguez looked at Alexander, who nodded slowly, defeat and pride warring in his expression. There's one entrance Vincent doesn't know about, Alexander said quietly. A service tunnel from the original construction. It was sealed off before Vincent joined my organization. Show me. As they planned, Alexander's phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number, just an image. Emma's face, tie-streaked and terrified, with a knife held to her throat. And a caption, 2 hours now. The clock's ticking. Bella looked at the photo and felt something inside her break and reform harder, colder. I'm coming for you, Em, she whispered. Just hold on. But as Rodriguez laid out the tactical approach and Alexander marked the compound blueprints, a terrible certainty settled over her. Not everyone was walking out of Carlo Morchetti's estate alive. The only question was who would fall. And as Bella checked her weapons and prepared for war, she caught Alexander watching her with an expression that broke her heart. He was looking at her like he was memoizing her face. Like he was saying goodbye. The service tunnel smelled like decay and forgotten secrets. Bella moved through the darkness, night vision goggles turning the world green, Rodriguez and 2 of his team behind her. Alexander had stayed behind, under protest, coordinating the external assault that would serve as their distraction. But he'd pulled her aside before she left. Come back to me, he'd whispered, pressing something into her hand. A saint medallion, worn smooth with age. It was my mother's. She survived 3 assassination attempts wearing it. I'm not superstitious, Bella had said. Neither was she. But she believed in fighting for what matters. His hand had cupped her face. You matter, Bella Clark. More than you know. Now, crawling through the tunnel with that medallion burning against her chest, Bella felt its weight like a promise. They emerged in the estate's lower level. An old wine cellar Vincent had probably forgotten existed. Bella signaled the team to spread out, her military training syncing perfectly with Rodriguez's hand signals. 2 guards outside the cellar door. Bella moved like smoke, her knife finding the first guard's carotid before he could shout. Rodriguez took the second simultaneously. Both bodies lowered silently. Hostages should be in the east wing, reinforced room. Bella whispered into her comm. Alexander, we're inside. Alexander's voice crackled through her earpiece. I've got surveillance feeds up. Showing 12 hostiles between you and Emma. Vincent's in the main room with Carlo. Can you loop the security cameras? Already done. Your ghosts for the next 8 minutes. Bella's team moved through the mansion like wraiths. 6 hostiles down before the alarm even registered danger. Rodriguez was a symphony of controlled violence, years of combat experience making him devastating. But as they approached the east wing, Bella's earpiece crackled with Alexander's urgent voice. Bella, stop. Vincent just moved Emma and Lucia to a different location. He knows something's wrong. Where? The chapel. North side of the property. But Bella, it's exposed. No cover approach. He's baiting you into a kill zone. Bella's mind raced. Can you draw him out? Not without risking the hostages. Alexander paused. Unless, wait. Bella, I have an idea, but you're going to hate it. Tell me. Vincent thinks I'm still at the safe house. What if I'm not? What if I surrender, exactly like he demanded? Absolutely not. Listen. He wants me unarmed and broken. I give him that, or appear to. Walk right through the front door. Every guard in this place will converge on me, including Vincent. That's your opening to extract Emma and Lucia. It was insane. Suicidal. It was also brilliant. He'll kill you the moment he sees you, Bella said. No. He'll want to make it theatrical. Carlo will demand a show of power, public execution, humiliation, proof he's taken over the Costa Empire. That's his ego. That buys us time. Alexander's voice softened. Trust me, Bella. Like I trust you. Bella closed her eyes, every instinct screaming against this plan. But she'd run 100 combat scenarios in her mind. This was their best shot. Okay, she whispered. But Alexander? You die on me, and I'm dragging you back from hell personally. His laugh was soft, warm. Noted. 15 minutes later, Bella watched through her scope as Alexander Costa walked through the front gates of Carlo Mocchetti's estate, hands raised, unarmed. Every guard mobilized exactly as predicted. Move, Bella commanded. Her team sprinted for the chapel. The door was locked, reinforced. Rodriguez planted a small charge, shaped to blow inward without shrapnel. 3, 2, 1. The explosion was muffled but effective. They breached. Emma screamed, then gasped. Bella. Lucia was conscious, pale but alert. About time, ragazza. But Vincent wasn't there. It's a trap, Rodriguez said. The realization hit Bella like ice water. Alexander. She sprinted back toward the main house, abandoning protocol, abandoning stealth. Behind her, Rodriguez shouted orders to extract the hostages. Bella burst into the mansion's grand hall and froze. Alexander knelt in the center of the room, surrounded by 20 armed men. Carlo Mocchetti stood before him, smiling. And Vincent had a gun pressed to Alexander's head. There she is, Vincent said pleasantly. Right on schedule. You're predictable, Bella. Soldiers always are. Let him go, Bella said, her weapon trained on Vincent. 20 guns on you, sweetheart. You kill me, you die 2 seconds later. Along with Alexander. Vincent's smile widened. But I'll make you a deal. Drop your weapon, walk over here, and I'll kill you both quickly. Painless. The girl and Lucia go free. Don't, Alexander said, his eyes locked on Bella's. Don't you dare. Bella's finger hovered over the trigger. She could make the shot. But Vincent was right, she'd die immediately after. And then Emma would be alone. Tick-tock, Vincent said. Bella lowered her weapon. No. Alexander lunged, but 2 guards slammed him back down. As Bella walked forward, the medallion pressed against her heart. She caught Alexander's eyes and saw something there. Not defeat. A plan. He mouthed 2 words, north window. Bella's gaze flicked to the massive stained glass window on the north wall. Understood. I'm sorry, she said out loud, for Vincent's benefit. I should have let you board that plane, Alexander. Would have saved everyone a lot of trouble. Alexander's expression crumbled. Perfect acting. Bella, please. She was 3 feet from Vincent when she moved. Not toward him. Toward Alexander. She grabbed him and rolled, yanking him away from Vincent's gun just as the north window exploded inward in a hail of gunfire. Rodriguez and his team, positioned exactly where they needed to be, laid down suppressing fire. Bella and Alexander moved as one unit. She retrieved her weapon. He grabbed a gun from a fallen guard. Back to back, they fought like they'd trained together for years. Carlo's men fell. Vincent dove for cover, cursing. Should have stayed loyal, Vincent. Alexander shouted, firing with deadly precision. The battle was chaos, noise and smoke and violence. But through it all, Bella felt Alexander's presence at her back, solid and certain. They were going to survive this. Together. When the smoke cleared, 15 of Carlo's men were down. The survivors fled. Carlo Marchetti himself lay wounded, clutching his leg. And Vincent was gone. Coward ran, Rodriguez reported, emerging through the shattered window. Hostages secure. Emma and Lucia are in the van. Bella's knees nearly buckled with relief. Alexander caught her, pulling her close. You came for me. Always, she whispered. He kissed her then, fierce and claiming and full of promise. When they broke apart, both were smiling despite the carnage around them. It's not over, Alexander said. Vincent's still out there. Then we finish this, Bella replied. Once and for all. Vincent made his mistake 3 days later. Alexander's network, what remained loyal after the purge, tracked him to a private airfield in New Jersey. The same kind of location where this had all started. His running, Alexander said, studying the surveillance photos. Booked a flight to Buenos Aires under a false identity. Bella loaded her weapon with calm precision. Emma and Lucia were safe now, hidden in a secure location with round-the-clock protection. Carlo Marchetti was in federal custody, singing every detail of the conspiracy to avoid a murder conviction. But Vincent remained free. We end this tonight, Bella said. Alexander nodded. Together. They arrived at the airfield at midnight, just the 2 of them. No team, no backup. This was personal. Vincent stood near a small Cessna, duffel bag in hand, gun visible in his shoulder holster. He smiled when he saw them approach. Couldn't let me go, could you? He called out. Always so stubborn, Alexander. You betrayed 15 years of loyalty for what? Money? Power? Alexander's voice was cold. I treated you like a brother. That was the problem. Vincent's composure cracked. Always a brother, never an equal. You made every decision, controlled everything, while I followed like a dog. Carlo offered me partnership. Real power. Carlo's in prison, Bella said. He gave you up in the first hour of interrogation. Said you masterminded everything, the plane sabotage, Morrison and Daniels, all of it. Vincent's face paled. He wouldn't. He did, Alexander said. You're alone, Vincent. No allies, no empire, nowhere to run. It's over. Not yet. Vincent drew his weapon, aiming at Alexander. I still have this. Bella's gun was already trained on him. And I have you in my sights. Drop it. For a long moment, they stood frozen, a triangle of aimed weapons and shattered loyalty. You won't shoot, Vincent said to Bella. You're military. Honor, rules of engagement, all that noble garbage. I'm surrendering. He started to lower his weapon. Then pivoted and fired at Alexander. Bella's shot echoed a split second later. Vincent's bullet went wide as Bella's round caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around. His gun clattered to the tarmac. Alexander was already moving, kicking the weapon away, standing over the man who'd been his most trusted friend. I could kill you right now, Alexander said quietly. For Lucia. For Emma. For every person your betrayal hurt. Vincent laughed bitterly, clutching his bleeding shoulder. So do it. Be the monster everyone thinks you are. Alexander looked at Bella. She stood ready, weapon lowered but not holstered, watching him with those clear, steady eyes. Waiting to see who he'd choose to be. No, Alexander said finally. I'm done being that man. Bella showed me there's another way. He pulled out his phone and dialed. Detective Harris? Alexander Costa. I have a gift for you. Vincent Vega, wanted for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted assassination, and kidnapping. He's at the private airfield off Route 17. He paused. Yes, I'll wait for you to arrive. You have my word. He ended the call and looked down at Vincent. You'll spend the rest of your life in prison. That's a fate worse than death for someone like you. Vincent's face twisted with rage and despair. 15 minutes later, police sirens wailed in the distance. Alexander and Bella stood together, watching the lights approach. You could have killed him, Bella said softly. No one would have blamed you. I spent my whole life solving problems with violence. It cost me everything I loved. Alexander turned to her, taking her hands. I don't want to be that man anymore. I want to be the man you see when you look at me. And who's that? Someone worthy of you. The police arrived, and Vincent was taken into custody, screaming threats that everyone ignored. Detective Harris, a veteran cop who'd pursued Alexander for years, approached cautiously. Mr. Costa, he said, surprised. You actually stayed. I gave my word. Alexander gestured to Vincent. He'll tell you everything about Carlo Mocchetti's organization. In exchange, I want something. You're not exactly in a position to negotiate. Immunity for Bella Clark. Full witness protection if she wants it. She was an innocent bystander caught in a world she never asked to enter. Alexander's voice was firm. That's non-negotiable. Harry studied them both, then nodded slowly. I'll see what I can do. As the police processed the scene, Bella pulled Alexander aside. Witness protection means leaving everything behind, she said. New identity, new life. I know. I'm not going anywhere without you, Alexander Costa. He smiled, that devastating, genuine smile she'd come to love. Then I guess we're both starting over. What about your empire? Let it go. I meant what I said about going legitimate. The Costa family businesses, the legal ones, will continue. The rest. He shrugged. Someone else's problem. Bella kissed him, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they pulled apart, the sun was rising over the airfield, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. The drive back to the city was quiet, peaceful in a way Bella hadn't experienced in days. Alexander's hand rested on hers, warm and steady, as Rodriguez drove them toward the safe house where Emma and Lucia waited. What are you thinking? Alexander asked softly. Bella looked at their intertwined fingers. That week ago, I was just a flight attendant worried about making rent and getting Emma into a good college. Now I'm in love with a former Mafia boss who just surrendered his empire to start over. Regrets? She turned to face him fully. Not a single one. His smile was everything, relief and joy and love all wrapped together. When they arrived, Emma burst through the door and threw herself into Bella's arms, sobbing. I thought I'd lost you. When those men took me, I thought. Sure, I'm here. I'm here, Em. Bella held her sister tight, breathing in the familiar scent of her strawberry shampoo. You're safe now. It's over. Lucia emerged behind Emma, her arm properly bandaged now, a fierce smile on her weathered face. She walked straight to Alexander and slapped him, hard, across the face. Then pulled him into a crushing hug. Idiota, she muttered. Making me worry like that. Your mother would have killed you herself. Alexander laughed, actually laughed, and hugged her back. I know, Lucia. I'm sorry. When Lucia released him, she turned to Bella. You're good for him. I see it. She tapped her chest. In here. He's different now. Different how? Bella asked. Alive, Lucia said simply. Truly alive, for the first time since Isabella died. The weight of that statement settled over the room. Emma pulled back from Bella, wiping her eyes. So what happens now? We can't exactly go back to our apartment. And you? She looked at Alexander uncertainly. What are you going to do? Alexander glanced at Bella, and she saw the question in his eyes. The hope. We build something new, Bella said, answering both Emma and Alexander. The Costa shipping business is legitimate, right? Completely legal, Alexander confirmed. International logistics, import-export, all above board. Then you run that. Grow it. Be the businessman you wanted to be. Bella squeezed his hand. And I'll be right there with you. What about your career? The military trained you for more than pushing papers in an office. The military trained me to adapt and overcome. Bella smiled. Besides, international security consulting for a shipping empire? That's right in my skill house. Someone has to make sure no one tries to sabotage your operations again. Alexander's eyes lit up. You do that? Work with me. Partners, Bella said firmly. In everything. Emma made a gagging sound. You two are disgustingly cute. You'll understand when you're older, Lucia said, ruffling Emma's hair. I'm 17, not 7. The normalcy of it, the teasing, the laughter, the feeling of family, made Bella's heart fall to bursting. Rodriguez appeared in the doorway. Boss, Mr. Costa. Detective Harris just called. Vincent's cooperating fully. He's giving up every dirty operation in Carlo's network. The DA's office is thrilled. And the immunity deal for Bella? Alexander asked. Approved. She's clear of any conspiracy charges. Free and clear. Rodriguez grinned at Bella. You did good, Clark. Real good. After Rodriguez left, Alexander turned to Bella, taking both her hands. I need to say something, he began. A week ago, I was a man who'd built his entire life on fear and control. Who thought the only way to survive was to keep everyone at arm's length. And then you walked into my world and showed me what real courage looks like. Alexander. Let me finish. His thumb stroked across her knuckles. You risked everything for a stranger. You fought for your sister with everything you had. You showed me that strength isn't about how much power you wield, it's about what you're willing to sacrifice for the people you love. Tears pricked Bella's eyes. I don't know what tomorrow looks like, Alexander continued. I don't know if we'll build an empire or just a quiet life. But I know I want to find out with you. If you'll have me. Bella laughed through her tears. You're asking me this now? After everything? I'm asking because of everything. His expression was vulnerable, open in a way she suspected few people ever saw. So what do you say, Bella Clark? Want to take a chance on a reformed criminal trying to go straight? She pretended to consider it. Will there be more near-death experiences? I'll do my best to avoid them. More midnight escapes and tactical operations. Only the fun kind. And what about? He kissed her, cutting off her teasing, pouring everything he felt into that contact. When they broke apart, Bella was breathless and smiling. Yes, she whispered. To all of it. To everything. Yes. Emma whooped. Lucia dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. And Alexander Costa, former Mafia boss, feared and untouchable, smiled like a man who'd finally found his way home. I love you, Bella Clark, he said. I love you too, Alexander Costa. Outside, the sun climbed higher, burning away the last shadows of the night. Somewhere in the city, Vincent sat in a cell facing justice. Carlo's empire was crumbling. The conspiracy that had nearly killed them all was finished. But in that safe house, surrounded by the people who'd become her family, Bella felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Peace. Hope. And the absolute certainty that whatever came next, they would face it together. So, Emma said, breaking the moment. Does this mean we're rich now? Because I have a college fund that could use some serious help. Everyone laughed, real, genuine laughter that echoed through the room like a promise. The old life was gone. But the new one? The new one was just beginning. And it was going to be extraordinary. We have come to the end of the story. Thank you for watching to the end. Share your opinion about this story in the comments below. I like getting feedback from my audience. Also, Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our heartwarming stories.